And yet, that's not the final word. God rejects the generation of the Exodus, but he maintains the covenantal relationship with their descendants. God maintains a faith in us, projecting future possibilities of goodness within the Jewish people. And that, in many ways, is the overarching message of the Torah. It records every sin, it records every betrayal of the people, and then continues on to plan for better days because God believes in us. How do we make sense of this? From where can we continue to be positive in the face of this loss of faith? You'll notice that the 12 tribes overwhelmingly turned their back on God, but 2 of the 12 spies did not. That much is explicit in the text. In the face of this rejection of the divine covenant of the promised land, at a time when the vast majority of the Israelites were swayed by the report of the majority, a minority report of hope was embraced by a small number of Israelites who don't lose faith. Yes, their numbers are overshadowed by the vast majority of what essentially are spiritual cowards. Just show me one of those miracles and I'll be a little more absolute in my faith. Their existence held within it, however, the seeds of the flourishing of hope for the future. Today, we live in challenging times. We live in a time of a lack of appreciation of God's gifts. We live in an era of self-glorification, of self-worship. We live in an era of the sovereign self. We live at a time when it is common not to ask what we can do for the Jewish people or what we can do for God, but rather the question becomes, what can Judaism and what can God do for me? Wandering aimlessly in the wilderness has become our way of life. The unintended consequences of the beauty of life here in America in our modern way has been the silencing of the minority report, one that teaches that meaning in life and divine relationship require appreciation, sacrifice, and a shift of focus. Abraham Joshua Heschel defined the search for true spirituality as embracing the idea that the self is not the hub, but merely the spoke of the wheel. It is God who sits at the center. Heschel taught us that we must shift the center of living from self-consciousness to self-surrender. And so perhaps the message of the story of the spies is that in order to merit the gift of God's covenant, we need to prove ourselves worthy. God's covenant was established. He's proven himself worthy. We're good. God's covenant was established in times of personal and national struggle. It reflects divine support, divine redemption, and assurances that as part of this agreement between partners, there will be an ongoing relationship. So the question becomes, will we follow the way of the majority tendencies and respond by rejecting God in our end of the agreement? Will we turn from the face of what seems like giant odds against Jewish survival? We're used to this over the thousands of years. Giant odds against the survival of Judaism, of a serious Judaism, of a deep Judaism, of an all-encompassing relationship with God? Or will we defy the odds and embrace mitzvot, embrace the covenant with which we've been blessed? The good news is that we learn from today's parashah that God is a very patient God. The thread of hope, faithfulness and hope which has sustained us in every dark period in which we've lived will continue to do so in the present, will continue to do so in the future. Divine wrath is temporary. God continues to believe in us. We have that end of the agreement down. May it be God's will that we will merit the gift of a divine covenantal relationship, embracing our responsibilities, and may we continue to be blessed in our wanderings with divine favor and a very patient God. Shabbat Shalom. We turn back to our Sidurim. Page 182, Ein Kelohenu.
Ein Kelohenu, Ein Kadonenu, Ein Kamoshenu, Ein Kamoshienu, Michelohenu, Michadonenu, Michamokenu, Michamoshienu, Nodel Elohenu, Nodel Adonenu, Nodel Mokenu, Nodel Moshienu, Baruch Eloheinu, Baruch Adonenu, Baruch Malkeinu, Baruch Moshienu, Atahu Eloheinu, Atahu Adonenu, Atahu Malkeinu, Atahu Moshienu, Atahu Shekiru Avotenu, Lefanecha Ekatoret Hasanim. Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, l'atei kedula liotzer breshit, shalo asanu k'goyei haratzot, v'lo samanu k'mishpachot adama, shalo sam chalkeinu kahem, v'gor aleinu k'chol hamonam, v'anachnu korim u'mishtachim לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא שהוא נוטה שמיים ויוסד ארץ ומושב יקרו בשמיים ממעל ושכינתו זו בגובה מרומים הוא אלוהינו Malkeinu efresulato, kakatu betorato, v'adata yom v'ashata yom v'ashevota elvacha. Ki Adonai hu Elohim, b'shamayim mima'al, v'al haaretz mitachat ein od. Kakatu b'toratecha Adonai yimloch l'olam va'ed v'nemar v'haya Adonai l'melech al kol haaretz bayom hahu yiyeh Adonai echad u'shemo echad.
You may be seated. On this Shabbat, our hearts go out to the families of Milton Stanford Mosk Jr., Rhoda Levine, Paul Levine, Ellie Sokol, Mitchell Brockman. We're observing the yard sites of Albert Kalem, Faye Goldstein, Jacob Greenberg, Suzanne Harrison, Ronald Horton, Ralph Levy, Betty Liebgold, Mitchell Littman, Littman Littau, Shoshana Mansour, Meir Miron, John O'Leary, Lenore Harriet Popkoff, Louis Rocknowitz, Dan Ratner, Betty Rinkoff, Leonard Robson, Aggie Rolnick, Sylvia Samuels, Marilyn Schiffman, Murray Schiffman, Edith Schwartz, Howard Truss, Jack Turk, and Sylvia Wills. All those in a period of mourning, all those observing a yard site, we invite you to rise. Words of Mourners Kaddish, page 184. Yikadav v'yikadash shemei Rabbah, b'alma divrach yirutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon u'v'yomechon u'v'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael, ba'agala u'v'zman kari v'yimru, amen. Yehi shmei Rabbah mevorach le'olam elomei almaya. יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא. יתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי קודשה בריחו. לעילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה. תשבחתה ונחמתה דאמירן בעלמה ויאמרו אמן. יהי שלמה רבה מן שמיה. וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל ויאמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ויאמרו amen. You may be seated. Having done such a fine job reading Torah, we're going to invite you to come to share a few announcements.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone. My name is Michael Zlotnick. I'm a member of the Board of Trustees here at Congregation Bris Shalom. I'm here in lieu of Jonah Paransky, who's still working off the excitement of being reappointed president. I'm glad you're here to celebrate Shabbat and celebrate community. We appreciate your presence. Yasher Koach to all the daveners, Torah readers, Gabayim, and Gezumbai. Please take a look at our madrich for all of our upcoming services and events. Here are a few highlights. Morning Minyan with Mourners Kaddish, Sunday through Friday at 9 a.m. on Zoom. We have a Tikkun Olam initiative for the month of June with the National Council of Jewish Women Greater Houston to help provide for underserved schools, underserved schools and shelters in our community. Please see the madrich for more details. June 23rd is Keshet Houston Pride. The annual Pride Shabbat service and dinner will be hosted at Beth Yeshurun. RSVP is done online. Please join us after services for Kiddush Lunch, sponsored by Denise and Milton Moss III, in honor of their 23rd anniversary, the baby naming of Kinsley Say Juker, the birthday of David Kappen, and the birthday of Alyssa Juker, and it's co-sponsored by my family in honor of the incoming board members and with thanks to the outgoing board members. Shabbat Shalom.
I just want to emphasize that next Friday night, which is Pride Shabbat, there will not be services here. We're going to Beth Yeshurun and joining together with them in what has become an annual tradition. The dinner, you need a reservation for. The services, you certainly do not. I don't know whether this will serve as an encouragement or a rejection, but I'm going to speak that night at Beth Yeshurun, so you get to make the choice and make an informed choice as to whether you want to be there. Adon Olam, page 187.
Adon Olam Asher Malach B'terem Kol Yitzir Nivra Li'ein Asa V'chefso Kol Azai Melech Shemo Nikra Azai Melech Shemo Nikra V'yacharei Kitlot HaKol Levado Yimloch Nora V'hu Haya V'hu Over V'hu Yeh B'tifara V'hu Yeh B'tifara V'hu Echad V'yein Sheni L'ham Shilo L'achbira B'li Reshit B'li Tachlit V'lo ha'oz V'ham Yisra V'lo ha'oz V'ham Yisra V'hu Eli V'chai Go'ali V'tzor Chevli B'yesara V'hu Nisi Umanosli Menat Kosi B'yom Ekra Menat Kosi B'yom Ekra B'yado Avki Ruchi B'yei Kishan V'ya'ira V'im Ruchi G'vi'ati Adonai li V'lo ira Adonai li V'lo ira.
We invite you to rise and extend blessings to the people around you.
Adonai v'yishmerecha. Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'yichunecha. Yisad Adonai panav elecha v'yaseim lecha shalom. In Yirat
Yes, indeed. Thank you.